Hey everyone, welcome back to Ontario Gardening. Today we are going to make and can zucchini relish. It's super simple, it's just a little time consuming. So we are going to go through the process. We picked things straight out of our garden in order to do this, so that's super exciting. And let's get started. So I will put the recipe down below of how many cups of each thing you need, but just to show you here, we did 12 cups of zucchini, which is equivalent to about 8 to 10 regular size zucchinis. So you're going to take your zucchini. This one's on the big side just because it came from the garden, so this would probably equal about 4 zucchinis. You're going to cut it down the middle, scoop out the seeds, and then either use a cheese grater to grate it up, or if you have a food processor, use a food processor. And so that's what we did. Instead of using a cheese grater, we used this setting here for grating it with the processor. But if you don't have one and you need to use a cheese grater, that's fine. So 12 cups of zucchini. You're going to do 4 cups of onion. We just did the onions from our garden, the yellow onions, 1 green pepper, and 2 red bell peppers. After you've diced and chopped everything up, you're going to put it into either a bowl or a pot. We actually are just using the stock pot that we're using to cook it in. You're adding a 1/3 cup of either canning salt or pickling salt. And just for the record, that's what that looks like here. You can find this in the grocery store, just where all of your salts and spices and herbs are. And so a 1/3 cup of that, you sprinkle it all inside, stir it up, and you leave this in your fridge overnight. So as you can see, this has been sitting overnight. We did this yesterday. So we can go ahead and get this moving for you guys. So the other thing you're going to need for this recipe is vinegar, a jalapeno if you'd like, you don't have to, some sugar, and then you'll need dill, turmeric, nutmeg, and some horseradish. And that's pretty much it for that recipe. And let's just add everything together and get this relish cooking. So the first thing that I did is adding 2.5 cups of the white vinegar. And then I'm going to stir that around and get it coated. So what I'm personally going to do, I forgot to mention, when you are doing the zucchini, when you're shredding it, you do it with the skin on. So you take the seeds out because you don't want the seeds in there, but shred with the skin on. So I'm just going to, when I add each thing into this pot, I'm going to stir it and just coat the relish. That's just a personal preference. You could dump everything in at once, but I want to get everything coated. So first things first, vinegar. The next thing I am adding is 2.5 cups of white sugar. And then same thing, I'm going to stir that around. And now you're doing 4 tablespoons of horseradish. So we just have a jar of horseradish from the store, no big deal, and we're gonna mix that in. So now we are going to add the 3 spices I talked about. It's 1 tablespoon of each. So 1 tablespoon of that nutmeg, 1 tablespoon of the turmeric, and then 1 tablespoon of the dill. And again, we're gonna mix that around. So you can add the jalapeno as well. You chop it up and you discard the seeds and the membrane because that's what's gonna make it spicy. But if you want to just have a little bit of flavor and no spice, you take the jalapeno, wear gloves, cut it up, and discard the insides and just use the outside. I'm purposely gonna skip that. My spouse doesn't like any type of spice or anything in anything. So we're just gonna do straight relish without the jalapeno, but the recipe does call for it, just to let you guys know. So now that we have everything all mixed together, we are going to turn our stove up to a medium heat. We're going to let this simmer. You can throw the lid on and just let it simmer, and that's going to be for 45 minutes. And once the 45 minutes is up and everything's cooked down, at that point we will can this up and throw it into our water bath. So now that it's been 45 minutes, we've turned it off, and we're going to ladle the relish into our 500 milliliter jars. We're using a funnel. And you want to get some of that liquid in there because you're going to eventually want that liquid to sit in there with your relish. So we're going to about a 1/4 head space. It is a little bit messy. So you can see there, we're going to follow to about this line here. And you're going to want to put your lid on with the band, but before you do that, you use a paper towel, a moist paper towel, and we're just going to wipe this down to make sure that the rim has nothing on it. So wiping this down, and you want to be careful because everything is going to be hot. So you're going to come in and get your lid, put it on top here, and again, be careful because everything is hot. Now once you've got your relish in here, you are going to use a pair of tongs if you don't have canning tongs. I do have canning tongs. And you're going to move it into water. And we'll put all the jars in here, and once this is hit a full boil, you're going to set it for 15 minutes and let these bathe in the water for 15 minutes. So now that it's been 15 minutes of water bathing, we are going to take the relish out and you're going to let it cool to room temperature, and then you can go store it wherever you store it. So this is the Zesty zucchini relish, and in our next video we're going to make a sweet cucumber relish. So stay tuned for that one. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you later. Bye.